Thank you for watching Obvious Finance. I'm your host, Mikey, and today we're going to look at the cost of owning a franchise. We're going to look at McDonald's, Taco Bell, and Subway. And we're going to look at the average earnings per month, the average franchise fee per month, and the average rent or ads per month that you're going to be spending. We're going to go over other things that they have to pay for as well. So, here we go. And I got this information from, I believe it's Business Insider. I'll link it down below so you can also look at this information. There is a one-time franchise fee, I believe it's called, So McDonald's franchise fee is $45,000. That is just to have the name McDonald's. You only pay it once, but it's to get into the business of McDonald's. So, per month, the average of McDonald's makes about $225,000, which sounds really good because it is a lot of money. So when it comes to McDonald's, they pay 10.7% of their gross income to rent, which for the average McDonald's would be $25,000 or $24,000. Because unlike other ones like Subway and Taco Bell that charges for ads, McDonald's actually charges their franchisees rent for their buildings. So yeah, that's one thing to know if you want to start a McDonald's. So the royalties, or the franchise royalties, is 4% of the gross income. So that brings it up to $9,000 a month just to use a McDonald's name. So not only do you pay $45,000 to just get into the business of McDonald's, but that's a one-time thing. Every month you're going to have to spend $9,000 on average for the average McDonald's just to use the name McDonald's. But you're also going to have to pay McDonald's $24,000 in rent every month. Or at least 10.7% of all the money you make will go to rent. Just to use the McDonald's building. So moving on to Taco Bell. So it's $45,000 franchising fee. So just like McDonald's, you have to pay $45,000 just to use the Taco Bell name and to get into the business, but that's only one time you have to pay it. Moving on to the average Taco Bell, earns $125,000 a month, which sounds really good. Not as good as McDonald's, but still pretty decent. But to pay royalties, which is about 5.5% of your gross income, so the average Taco Bell spends $6,875 a month just so that they can use the Taco Bell name. That's all the franchise fee is just using their name. And then unlike McDonald's that charges a rent fee, or charge their franchisees as rent, if I even said that right, they charge for ads to advertise the restaurant. So the average Taco Bell spends $5,312 every month just for ads. Now, moving on to Subway. Subway is the cheapest franchise to get into. That's why there's a lot of Subways everywhere you go. But it's only $15,000 to get into the business of Subway. That's their franchise fee, is $15,000, get into the business. That's $30,000 cheaper than Taco Bell and McDonald's. So the average Subway makes about $34,000 every month. And for their monthly royalties, they charge about 8% for royalties alone, so that's going to be $3,000, I believe. And then for advertising, which is 4.5% of the monthly income, is about $15,000 for ads every month you have to spend or pay Subway. So that $3,000 is just to use Subway's name and be part of them. So that's kind of just the cost of buying into the business, and then the monthly cost of using their name, and the monthly cost for either rent or ads. And then the average earnings per month. So now we're going to move on to other things you're going to have to think of when thinking about owning one of these businesses, or just a business in general. So every month, when you include the rent and royalty fee, you're going to spend $33,000 a month for average McDonald's, 2 McDonald's. For Taco Bell, you're going to spend $11,000 every month to McDonald's or to Taco Bell. And Subway is going to spend about $4,343 a month just to Subway alone. That's not including anything else. That's just what you have to pay to operate the business. And by operating, I mean that's just what you have to pay to the franchise to own your restaurant. Now, since Taco Bell and Subway doesn't charge rent, unlike McDonald's already charges rent, they own the building, so that's that, you already have that taken care of. But when it comes to Taco Bell and Subway, they still have to pay rent to have their business in, because, you just have to have your own place to have a restaurant, so you're going to have to charge rent to that place. You're also going to have to, you will also have to buy inventory, which is a little bit more than you would think, because I used to be the manager at Subway, and our Subway wasn't really making like a whole lot of money. As far as an average day was anywhere from like $600 to maybe $1,200, which is not a lot for a restaurant, because restaurants can make a lot of money. But I was still spending anywhere from like $1,500 to like $2,400 a month, or actually a week, just for money, or just for the inventory alone. So you're gonna have to spend thousands of dollars every week on inventory, most likely. Moving on from that, you're gonna have to pay employees. So obviously you're gonna have to just pay for the employees to be there and work and all that. But another thing you might not know is when you are your own boss, you have to actually pay more tax. So you have to pay the self-employment tax, which is about 15%. So if you own this place, you have to spend 15% tax for your self-employment tax if you are self-employed, which I'm assuming you probably are self-employed if you own a restaurant. Not only that though, but when it comes to employee taxes, they pay for like Social Security and things like that, but they only pay half of the tax. You have to pay the other half as well. So you have to pay half their taxes while they pay half of their taxes as well. So you have to do that, and that's going to cost a little bit of money. But because of that, you also have to pay all of your taxes as well. So all the taxes you pay for your employees, you only have to pay for half of their taxes while they pay for the other half. But for you, you have no employer paying half of your tax. You have to pay your whole tax for Social Security, your whole tax for Medicare, and all that kind of stuff. So you have to, and this is in America. I don't know about other places, but this is strictly just for America that I know of. So you have to keep that in mind as well. So, not only that, but you have to pay for repairs. If your fridge breaks down, that's going to be a couple $1,000s to repair, most likely. So any appliance that breaks down, you are going to have to pay for it to be repaired, or you're going to have to repair it yourself. Those are your only two options. A franchise is not going to pay for your repairs. You are going to be paying for your repairs. So anything that breaks down, you have to pay for. You have to buy a new one, get it repaired, do whatever you have to do to keep business going. That includes fridge, any cooling units, any sinks, the grease trap. If the grease trap gets filled, you have to pay for someone to come and take care of the grease trap. So you gotta do repairs and maintenance as well. So I'll write maintenance over here. Moving on, you have to pay for repairs and maintenance as well to keep your place up in business and running. When it comes to franchises, they get to tell you when to buy new equipment. If you have a POS system that works, but they want you to update it, they tell you to update it, and you're gonna have to buy it. So that's going to be a couple $1,000s right there. If they want you to buy a new juice thing because they're going to have new juices, you're going to have to pay for that equipment as well. So when it comes to equipment, you're going to have to buy your own equipment, or at least a percentage of it. So that's going to be money out of your pocket, even though you don't want the juices, or even though you don't want a new POS system because the one you have already works. If they tell you to get new equipment, you have to get new equipment. And they can do that because they own the franchise. So even though you're paying to use their stuff, like you're paying them to use the name of your franchise to be part of the franchise and all that, they get to still tell you how to run your business and what to do, most likely. Now, every franchise is different. Some is more involved in their restaurants than others. So these are just things to keep in mind if you're thinking about owning a franchise, or if you just want to know what goes into owning a restaurant that is part of a franchise. Let's see here. And these also go along with if you don't have part of a franchise. If you just want to start your own restaurant or own business, you're going to have to keep these in mind as well. So that's just a few things that you have to keep in mind when you want to start a restaurant or be part of a franchise. Because I don't feel like a lot of people talk about the tax part of it. Because when it comes to taxes, when you are self-employed, you have a 15% self-employed tax. But since your employer is not paying half of your Medicare tax or whatever, and part of your Social Security tax, whatever taxes you pay, you're going to have to pay the full taxes of that. So twice as much as you would if you were employed by someone. But if you also have employees, you have to pay half of their taxes as well. Then you have to also pay for the repairs and maintenance going on, any equipment that you need. You have to pay the employees their hourly wage. You have to pay for inventory and keep inventory stocked up. You have to pay for rent, or if you're buying a place, you have to pay to buy it. So yeah, those are just a few things to keep in mind. And I hope this video was able to help you out a little bit, or at least it was interesting enough to watch to the end. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and if you have anything you'd like me to talk about, let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, if you would like to help me out, I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers, so subscribe down below and become one of my first subscribers.